Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Leadership Live 2022, week 7. There we go. I had to get all my numbers together because they were starting to run together. I am so excited to have you tonight. And for those of you all who are like, I don't know who you are, I don't know what this is, one, welcome to. So glad you decided to take a risk to watch this tonight. And Leadership Live is the sharing of journeys. Back in 2019, I was placed on my heart to share for 52 weeks, 52 stories, 52 lessons that I've learned, followed God, and did that thing. At the end of 2020, got tapped on my shoulder by the Lord again, and he said, look, I need you to do it again. And I said, God, I don't have anything left. And God said, it's not all about you. Call your friends. So that's what I did. I had 54 guests in 49 weeks during 2021. And here we are in 2022, back at it again, this time being subject area focused. For 12 months, we're going to focus on 12 subjects. And so I'm so excited to be doing this month where we are focusing on marital and parental leadership. Yes, we are, because it's all about leadership live. Right? Okay. So appropriate for today, being that it's Valentine's Day. Love to you all. Yes, all those good things. But who am I? I am Dr. Renita. I'm an educational leadership strategist, which means I love to work with growing and aspiring leaders to become more authentic in their leadership, empower their fellowship, and at the end of the day, have a greater impact on the world. I am also the founder of The Refining Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide you with experiences to have your mindset shifted so that you can lead a more positive and productive life. And our 2022 calendar, honey, just be ready for it all. We've already started acknowledging one of our women of refinement. Check us out over on therefininglife.com. Also, any of our social media, all The Refining Life. I am also a speaker, a mentor. I'm an author. Stepmom, Trials, Tribulations, and Triumph, as well as While You Are Sleeping. I'm a wife and mother of 4 kids, and I am a queen and a queen. I am a queen because I am, period. I am also a queen because I am the current reigning, soon to be outgoing North Carolina Ultimate Grand Supreme for Elite Southern Charms, as well as Mrs. Black North Carolina. Both of those titles will go to other beautiful women soon, but I am still excited to represent them while I still have them. I am also the editor-in-chief of Lead Like You magazine, available now online or at Ben's Boys. Next chapter at Ben's Boys in Greensboro, North Carolina, or you can contact me and I can get you a print copy. But I'm so excited tonight to have back my wonderful guest for this month. He's raucous, he's crazy, but hey, I love him anyway. And here he is. Watch my advanced technology.
Hey, how y'all doing out there?
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, beautiful.
I see. He calls me beautiful. He's trying to.
And before she was anybody's queen, she was my queen
first. Hello.
And is always going to be my queen.
Well, I am so excited to have you back. I'm going to lean this way a little bit so you can introduce yourself to the people who weren't here last week.
Okay. How y'all doing? I am Reverend Jared Webb. I am a mentor, an educator, veteran of the United States Army. And I am a father of 4. We have also 3 grandkids. And I'm the husband of this beautiful woman here. And just glad to be here tonight on this Valentine's Day. You know, this is a special day for those who love each other and for your loved ones. And I'm glad to be doing this tonight with my loved one.
And I'm back. I know y'all love that technology. Isn't it hot? It's amazing. Well, tonight we are talking about when hope meets reality.
Yes.
Because it's cute when you're hopeful. But when the rubber hits the road, when it becomes that real,
yeah,
it becomes a real different story. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I think what we should talk about is the transition to start. The transition from dating to being engaged.
Yes.
Because there's a difference.
Yes, difference.
So I remember when we were dating, it was cute. It was real cute. We liked each other a lot. We realized that we loved each other. You know, he asked me to marry him. I said, yes. The first time.
Was a beautiful proposal.
You see my face about that proposal? This is how you know you love somebody anyway. See, sometimes people get all this grandiose, beautiful, but and so you say, oh, people are all excited. Oh my gosh, everybody was there.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was lights. It was cameras. It was action. It was flowers.
Do you want to talk about that?
We can.
Yeah.
Not my proposal.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to talk about this proposal, which I think it was appropriate. I called her. She was at work, I believe, or coming from work.
No, I was at work.
You was at work,
I was
and
at work.
I had took my sons that was playing football, and I actually was coaching my youngest son team. And I called her up. I was like, I need you to meet me at the practice field. I think she thought it was I told you it was something was going on with the boys.
You told me that our oldest son was sick.
And so she rushed over there. And by that time she got there, our youngest son had got out the car. And so she got in the car, and I was talking to her, and I was like, I basically proposed to her in the front seat.
He was trying to, put his rap game on. He had his low, deep voice on.
Yeah. I had that Barry White going on, like, I want to tell you something. I love you and everything. So I proposed to her in the front seat of my of the car, and our son was in the back seat. So she accepted. She said yes. And
anyway,
right. But the other part of this story was, since our youngest son had left, when he found out that I proposed to her in the front seat of the car and he wasn't there, he got upset. So that night she came over to my apartment, and we woke him up out of his sleep, and we had to do a second proposal in front of him so he could be happy.
Yes. So for all of y'all who are like, oh, that's so sweet. No, it ain't. Y'all knew better. See, this is when hope already started meeting reality. Some people would have said, Renita, why did you even say yes? And I was like, I don't know. Love is blind. Listen, it'll take over your mind. But like there's a whole song about it.
I tell her all the time, there a lot of people have beautiful proposals. Marriages last a year, 2,
or they never
3,
made it to the
marriage.
Never
made it. Our proposal might not have been something that was grand, but we are here going on 13 years. So, hey.
Anyway.
Hey.
I said yes anyway. But, so that is a piece of the realities of life.
Right.
So that was a picture, not a picture of what our marriage would be. Our whole marriage was not raggedy. Even that proposal it was raggedy. It was raggedy. But our marriage has not been raggedy. Look, it was work.
Right.
But that's a picture of, what is it that you really want? What is it that you're really desiring? Do you have to have the fanfare for everything in your life? Or do you need to get the thing done and however it needs to get done?
Yeah.
Should proposals be overly utilitarian? Not really. They don't have to be, but, it has to be you. And so I will say his words were amazing. Talk game is on 100. We still married today. Sometimes I want to take him slap off the planet, but we still married today. Put that eyebrow down. Put your eyebrow down. But that is reality. That is really our story. And where at some point in time in my life, I probably hope for something really big and grandiose, at least dinner. And a piece of candle. Didn't get that either. But I digress. It was reality, and it is our story. And it was really the beginning of a turning point in our relationship, because I think, and for me at least, at that point is when we really, really had to start leading together. We really had to start leading together. So while we were dating, there was something, it was very clear parameters around, who his kids were, what my role is, kind of, I was the boo. I was the girlfriend. I really didn't have any true reign over their life, even though I will say during our dating process, my husband was like, yeah, you can go ahead and talk to them. Yep, we're going to go to the school. We are going to go to the school and talk to this principal, because I was an educator. You could have this talk with them. He would let me know if somebody had lost their mind. We have one son who was risky. He was risky. And every now and then he would do something risky, and I get a call. Let me tell you what this boy did today. I'll be there in 15 minutes. We about to have a talk. And so, we would have those types of things. But once we were engaged, then it was really that we used that road as a preparation to marriage because we were engaged for 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months. Yeah.
The same amount of time it takes almost to fully gestate a baby, we were engaged. And so we went through a 9-month process of truly saying, okay, we're prepping ourselves for marriage.
Right.
And we weren't prepping ourselves for marriage by being all up each other's bed. We weren't prepping ourselves for marriage by living together. That wasn't our prep.
No.
Our prep had to do with dealing with us, like our individual selves, and then starting to deal with us and how we were going to present our connected selves.
Right. Yeah. To our family and everything, even in that preparation, leading up to marriage, going from dating to being engaged, we had to have conversations, in-depth conversations of how we were going to deal with our family.
Right.
Because a lot of people want to wait till you're married to have those conversations, and then no, you need to, or don't even have those conversations at all. It's just, well, I used to do this for my family, so I'm continuing to do this. No, we had to have those conversations and started making transitions in how we spend holidays even before the marriage.
Right.
Our family had to get used to, okay, well, maybe I used to be with y'all all the time. That's not going to happen now because I'm taking on this beautiful woman and I want her to be my wife. So there's going to be times I might not be here. I might come over, but I ain't going to spend my whole time over.
Right.
So these things started in our engagement. So when we got to the marriage, it shouldn't have been nothing new to y'all. Like, why y'all ain't come? Because we already had these conversations. We already knew what we were planning to do and how we plan to live our life.
Right. And so we had to show up differently. We had to speak to people differently. We had to even show up to each other differently and how we were going to talk and what our agreements and or disagreements were. So he told me today, as we were talking this morning at breakfast, that apparently we had a fight when we were engaged. I don't remember this.
We had a few fights.
Well, I mean, I mean, but apparently it was one big enough for me to throw a ring at him.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what we were fighting over.
And you know what? I can't remember what we was fighting about. Only thing I remember is you was extremely upset and you threw the ring at me, but you did ask for it back before you got out the car, though.
Oh, hey, it was short-lived.
but what we was talking about at breakfast is sometimes you got to have that fight was something that people might say fights ain't. Sometimes fights are necessary, not necessary. Sometimes you need to get some things out. And we had that big fight during the process of our engagement. So we kind of knew when we're going into our marriage how we could deal with this situation. We've been in a big fight before and we still got through it now. And it was something I can't exactly I think it had something to do with the kids.
And it
was something to do with the kids. It definitely was how I was doing things. I was used to doing things as a single father. Like I said before, I had the kids by myself. I was a single father raising them. And so now it was something that I was doing that wasn't appropriate. And it needed to be adjusted. And I was, stubborn as most men are. And
let's be real, a lot of people.
Right, a lot of people. And that's what the argument was about. But we hashed it out and we came together as a team and to raise our children and still doing it today. But I think we had to have that. If we would have waited to marriage and we had that fight, that a lot of times that breaks marriages up, especially as one is not the birth parent.
Right.
That breaks a lot of marriages up. So we actually had that fight before, and it kind of helped us in guiding our children during our marriage.
Yeah. And I will say this. So thinking about, teaming, and I think about, leadership in any arena, anytime you're leading with another person or you have a partnership with somebody, then there's going to have to be a moment where the two individual people will collide.
Yeah.
Because you have a certain set of experiences and the other person has a certain set of experiences, but you are attempting to partner in the same realm. It is your thing. And when you're thinking about marital leadership and you're thinking about parental leadership, you have to understand that your kids are your thing. Your unit is your thing. Your marriage is your thing. And so if you don't do that in a way that you are truly being cognizant of each other and understanding what each other's experiences bring to the table, then you're going to end up in these places where you can no longer function your unit, whether it be your business, your organization, or whatever. You still have to be aware of the other person so that you can partner in a way that you can both be productive. The other piece is understanding that there are strengths and weaknesses to everybody.
Right.
Everybody's experience provides them with a different strength or a different weakness.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was coming from a place where he had been a parent for, at that time, 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
I was not a parent, but I had been an educator for a long time. And that educational background, so I think at that point in time, I was in traditional schools for 4 years. Yeah. I had a master's degree. I'd studied this. I'd also worked with children a good portion of my life, even before I graduated from college. And so I bought this different perspective.
Right.
But it's difficult to hear that type of thing when you've been doing this for a certain amount of time and your experience or your area of expertise, per se, is in that area that somebody else is challenging.
Right. Yeah.
So when you look at it, or maybe you can think about how you thought about it then versus how you think about it now. Anybody, so I think about, so one of our feel-good go-to shows is Marlon. And there is an episode where one of the mom's best friend is talking about her child. And it's not that she's trying to be derogatory. She's just speaking on it. And her automatic reaction is to cuss this woman out. Oh. And so when I started saying, oh, no, you're doing it wrong. Because I did. I was like, you letting them watch what?
Oh, yeah.
You letting them stay up to who? You letting them eat what? Oh, no, you're doing it wrong. And I wasn't a mother. How did it feel to deal with a person coming against your belief or the way you do things? Because you've been the only executive leader in that space for 10 years.
Like anybody, you wanted to defend your home front, and it was like you was attacking my character. And so it at first,
I'm sure I was not overly nice about it. Right. I didn't know how to talk.
And at first it was like, I've been doing this, so I know what I'm doing. Is like they getting fed. They, were pretty well-mannered young men. They still at the today say yes sir, yes ma'am. And so it was like you was attacking at first I felt like you was attacking my parenting skills. And even like my knowledge of raising kids, because like I say, I also was working with kids, and doing and mentoring sports and thing. So after sitting down, we had those conversations and talking,
or yelling,
and then understanding that it was coming from a place of love. Then I started to soften. My heart started to soften and change. But it's just like we were talking about a merger. It's two businesses. Marriage is basically, I have my own enterprise, she had her own enterprise. Yeah. And now we're coming together. And some of the things, just like sometimes in businesses, you got to drop certain people, got to get laid off.
Ooh. So, that doesn't sound like it feels good.
It doesn't sound like it feels good, but sometimes you have to drop certain things to make sure that the merging companies can work together and become one.
That was good.
And that's what we had to do. We had to drop some of the things that we were doing. I had to drop some of some of the things that I grew up with and believe in, some of the traditions that I had set place between me and the boys. I had to let those things go because they were not going to benefit us and the merger that we put together, and it wasn't benefiting the boys in the long run.
Right.
So yeah,
that's a good way to think about it. So we go from this place where we're dating and already having these hiccups in the not dating, we were engaged. And having these hiccups because once again, the two different entities had two different experiences. But we worked through these things. We had, like we told you all in the last episode, we went to premarital counseling. Best thing, like literally, we consult that counseling here now over 12 years later.
Right.
We go back to that counseling and what did we say then? And what did we talk about then? And, let's revisit that. And then, all is well.
Right.
We said, go to him. And we decide to get married.
Right.
Because please note that engagements don't always lead to marriages.
Right. Right. Definitely. You see it all the time. I mean, my son was talking about how people be, you get some of these superstars, not superstars, these actors and actresses been married, engaged 5-6 years. And one of the things we like to watch, we've been watching lately is Divorce Court.
Oh, yeah, we love a divorce court. Between divorce court and paternity court.
And you see people, well, I've been engaged 5 years and now we don't know where we're going to go from here. Sometimes long engagements, sometimes engagements don't always lead to marriage. Right. Sometimes you don't get the engagement.
And sometimes they shouldn't.
Right. They should. They should.
Marriage.
Yeah.
But that's when you actually utilize that time wisely. Or we've been then here's the flip side. So we decide to get married still.
Mm-hmm.
We get married, and then you enter year 1 of marriage.
One of marriage, yeah. That's difficult. Yes, a lot of people don't get out of that 1 year of marriage.
Year 1? Year 1. My. Because at that point in time, of course, like I said, we did not live together.
No.
Before we got married. And so then not only are you bringing enterprise with enterprise, so we, in our engagement, we started the merger.
Right.
We started these talks. Like, look, this is what it's going to be like after the merger is complete. It's going to be called this. This is going to be its new name. And we're going to be this.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened a new company. Woo-wee, Jesus.
Yes, that new company. Yes. Got to get that new company off the floor.
Yes. And I think one of the best things that we did when we were opening our new company, i.e. being married,
yeah.
was that we left our hometown.
Left our hometown, left our home church.
I don't, and the thing, okay, let's be real. We are still members of our home church.
Right.
We will forever be members of our home church.
Yes.
But we had to get away. This is just me being honest. I don't know that we would have made it out of year 1 if we stayed at home.
Oh, no.
Our families would have supported us to divorce because they love us. They love us so much. And they loved us as individuals. They had to learn to love us as a married couple.
Right, right.
And we had to lead our way even into disaster and then build upon what was left.
Mm-hmm.
So last year when I had Melissa Jordan come on, one of the things we talked about was, leading like when you have no clue what you're doing. And despite the fact that you get to know this person, you don't know what you're going to do when you get married.
Right.
You do not know. You do not know that person post I do because you hadn't met that person post I do.
Right.
So you're leading when you have no clue what you're doing. And sometimes the world falls down, and that thing, I won't say it completely crumbled, but it got low.
Yeah.
It got low. But what I think benefited us is that we had a sure foundation. We had a sure foundation. If you ever think about things that get built up, they can get knocked to the ground, but if that foundation was strong,
right,
then that foundation will be
You can build back on top of the foundation.
Yes. And sometimes things need to crumble.
Right.
You don't realize how faulty things are until they crumble sometimes. You don't until it lights on fire. Oh, that was some faulty wiring. Well, now we know. Sometimes you don't know it until, like the song says, it all falls down. It all falls down. So when we were going through year 1, like this is when, because I say we were very hopeful during dating. We were very hopeful during our engagement, even with the tiffs, because it was tiffs. Ring throwing and all, but still a tiff. But then we got married.
Right.
That thing was real.
Yeah.
This is when reality set in because we could not easily leave it.
Right. We couldn't, and
even though we were getting divorced about 28 times in the first year.
And like I say, we never lived together. You know what I'm saying? She would come over and visit, then she would go home. It was a lot of things we stopped doing once we got engaged.
Oh, once we got engaged, like we were like, hold up.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna try to do this for the Lord.
Do this for the Lord, yeah. And that's one thing. We stopped when I say everything, we stopped everything and we went and did it, you know, how God intended for it to be done.
How it should have been done in the
first place. And so
we were not, okay, disclaimer, we weren't overly holy.
No.
And then we got engaged and said, oh, God is involved. For real. So can you reel it back? Right. No matter what?
Yeah. And you know, is have the real when you that was difficult, but at the same time it wasn't.
Right.
Because we wanted to do it the way it should have been done in the beginning.
Right. And I think too, when we were thinking about our merger,
right,
we were, trying to figure out how we wanted our company to be presented.
Yeah.
Our family to what we wanted it to represent.
And we want to show our sons
yes
how it should be done too.
Right. So we were already thinking about our fellowship.
Right.
Our fellowship at that time really were the boys. And we needed our fellowship to see from leadership what we were doing, why we were doing it, and even like also to see that we were not perfect. We had faulted.
Right.
And so we had a very real mini talk with them.
Yeah, right.
Just things like, Miss Rodriguez is not going to be spending the night
right.
anymore.
Right. It was like we shut it down like 8:30. You was going home.
Yeah.
By the time she would tell the boys good night, and then she would leave. We still spend every day together, but it was like, no, she's not going to be spending the night.
Right.
She's
and don't
home.
think that we are upset with you or that you all did anything.
Right.
But what it showed them is that, it's the whole we fall down and we get up syndrome. You know, a saint is just a sinner who fell down. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Brother McClurkin, for that song. We just fall down and you can get back up.
Yeah.
It showed imperfection is not permanent.
Good.
Imperfection is not permanent.
Yeah.
You can fix it.
You
can get help to
fix it. Right.
Yeah. And then we got married.
And that year one marriage, I mean, we also lost a child during that year one marriage.
We got pregnant on our wedding night.
Right. Got pregnant on our wedding night, and we lost that first child. And so that was something that was difficult that we had to deal with. And like I say, a lot of those things could have, if our foundation wasn't built right, a lot of those things that we went through could have destroyed us. But it built us, made us stronger.
Right. And it was simple things like you talk about it when you see it in somebody's house before you live there, but since it's not your house, there's only so much you can say. Mm-hmm. But when it's my house, what's going to happen is that you're not going to put these towels right here anymore. You are not. I am so sick of, let me tell y'all about towels and washcloths. One, you're going to fold them right.
I fold my towels and washcloths.
You fold.
I rolled them up.
You rolled them up. Thank you. You ain't to fold them. They're going to be folded a certain way. Okay. Not that I'm nitpicky, but I'm nitpicky. About the way you fold towels. And about the way you fold washcloths. It's a certain way.
About the way you put toilet paper on the roof.
Woo! Don't put it under. I'm an over person. It's over, not under. It just fight me in the comments. I don't get it. It's over. But but also where you hang them. Oh, I can't stand a washcloth to be over a shower rack. There's a hook for that. I provide you these amenities. Use them. But that's me. That's the way I lived. I also lived alone, so these things were always right. And then you live with these 3 other people.
And then you also live when you was a child or going through school. It was just you and your mother.
Right.
So it was women. You didn't live in a house with a bunch of...
Oh, no. Funky boys. They stink. Boys stink. And they do boy mess.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Walk around scratching at places.
That almost broke up our marriage. If I saw one whole person scratch something in their pants. But it was just different. And I can only imagine what it was like for you, for somebody to harp about towels.
Yeah. My thing is they were clean. You rolled them up because military style. We rolled towels up. And, that was...
It wasn't a cute roll. I know some of y'all are thinking that it's like the fold and then roll so that you see the perfect spiral. Some of you ladies were thinking that. That's not what it is. It is roll it up, throw it in a little closet,
I ain't throwing it in there. Those places pretty.
place in a ball. But this was reality.
Yeah.
It was also reality that where, like finances get ugly.
Oh yeah.
They get really, really
That's probably one of
ugly.
the main reasons why people do get a divorce, because of finances.
Right.
Yeah.
And understanding people's relationship with money. So we talked about this last month with Yolanda Makumbe. Every single person has a different relationship with money. Everybody has different financial traumas, which will cause them to relate to funds in different ways. And my husband's relationship with money was one thing. My relationship with money was totally different. And the way we managed money was totally different, or didn't manage money for that matter, was totally different. And so just those conversations alone, I mean, think about your businesses, think about your organizations, thinking about your ministries,
Right.
and even your classrooms, how your budgets are set, and because it always has to do with priorities.
Yeah.
And my priorities were X, his priorities were Z, and they were not always matching.
Right. I mean, she's better with the money. I would make money, and I would, being when I was single, we always had food, but I didn't never save. I wasn't saving money. What I'm saying? We going out to eat and, spend money, buying little Debbie snacks and things like that.
Ooh, little Debbie snacks.
And, those things add up. So I was not saving money, but they always had everything that they needed. It wasn't that
plus some.
Yeah.
And it was, let's start here. It wasn't about them being spoiled. It was about them having things they did not particularly need.
Right.
Like little Debbie snacks. I am of the belief that you do not need to have dessert with every meal or even every day. I feel like you should be at least decently healthful.
That way
Not. I believe that you should limit the amount of sodium that you probably intake, which would mean that ramen noodles for lunch and dinner.
No, I cook. No.
You could cook, but you would let them eat 2 packs of oodles and noodles.
I'm saying.
This was a point of contention. And sometimes it would get very loud. Expectations about intimacy became very real. Because you live with this person every day. And I'm not just talking about it. I'm talking about intimacy in general.
Right.
And so understanding love languages and, what affection looks like. And people's limitations and what they like and what they don't. And what you think is reality. And then you have this conversation with someone and you don't get what you expected.
Right.
That's tough.
I think sometimes in dating, you do things that you're not really always comfortable with because you're trying to sometimes get a person.
Right. Well, or it's just every now and again. It's not like you got to do this all the time.
Right.
Or something that you're going to have to keep up forever.
Right.
Like, I will say this. So my husband used to buy me flowers on the 6th of every month. Could he keep that up for the rest of forever? He could, but he wasn't going to. And so it was a low-key expectation because you'd have done it all this time. And then you don't do it no more. I call him a name that I cannot say here.
But I do other things.
You do. Don't get me wrong. He's a good husband. I mean, because now, but we also realize what love languages are, right? So 12 plus years later, we do better. Another issue, when reality hit the road, we had 2 completely different communication styles.
Yeah.
And also needs to resolve things and reasons why. But we didn't know that until reality hit.
Yeah.
Like all this hopeful, like we said, we had arguments, we had blow-ups when we were engaged. I'm sure we even argued when we were dating, but it wasn't even anything serious enough to keep us from getting engaged. And an engagement wasn't serious enough to keep us from getting married.
Right.
But Whoo, I remember we used to argue so much. My mother at one point in time, who is the neutralist mother-in-law ever, except for the fact that she really always really rooted for him. I had to remind her sometimes, I'm your daughter. Why are you taking his side?
Just me.
Whatever. But we did not know how to effectively communicate.
Right.
And that sucked. And I mean, that didn't probably resolve itself until probably after year 3 or 4. Like, or 5 or 6.
Yeah, maybe like
7
5,
or 8.
maybe like 6. Yeah.
And I mean, even now we have issues where we're a little wonky, but it's not nearly as bad. But we also understand why the other person feels the way they do in the way that we need to get it done. And so we just had to come to a neutral ground of resolution.
Right.
Like, we just had to say, okay, this is what you want, but this is what I want. This is what I need. So, like, he wants to resolve now.
Yeah, I'm like.
And that oftentimes is like, let's blow up now. And he also does not stay mad longer than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be mad for 3 weeks. Yeah. I'm going to be mad. I'm not letting it go.
And that was a big issue in beginning of our marriage. Because like she say, when I'm mad, I'm mad. Yeah. You know, but you know, we never, no hands go on nobody. Never do that. But when I'm mad, but then I'm over it. And I'm like, okay, what you want to eat?
And I'm not talking to you. Because and sometimes that's before we even deal with it. Like, it's not dealt with. We haven't even talked about it. He's just not mad. I am hot until it's done. And it may not be 3 weeks, but if it's not done, I'm still mad. I'm still mad. We have to resolve it, but I also can't resolve it right now. I need to calm down. My whole thing is I don't want to sit here and fight with you right now. I'm too mad. His whole thing is I need to fight with you right now because this needs to be over.
Right.
That does not a calm marriage make.
Right. Yeah. And that was a struggle for a while.
Yeah.
Struggle for a while. And sometimes every now and then I'd be like, okay, I gotta remember she don't want, let her get her time, then we'll come back later and then we'll talk about it. Like you say, after 12, almost 13 years now, we don't really. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got 4 kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them is 4. We're too tired to do all that arguing right now.
Yeah.
Who has time or energy to fight like that? We do not. But it also came with learning how to communicate, talking to other people who had these same realities.
Right.
And being honest. Being honest. Our hope hit reality, and then we had to be honest about our crap.
Yeah.
Oh, we had to be honest about our crap.
And that can be ugly. And it can, I mean, you just look at yourself. Sometimes you have to say, hey, I have to change. Like I said, a lot of times things we do is because the way we was raised.
Yes. And traditions that we held on
to. Yes. So it was just like, I was about, let's get it out. She was about, I need time. And so we had to find common ground where I was like, we can't wait 2 days to have this conversation. But
I need at least 3 hours.
Yeah, she needs a few hours. Then we can have this conversation.
Right. Yeah. But and it all had so that goes back to knowing who we were and being honest about the experiences that we had. And there was a very specific reason why he needed it to be dealt with as soon as possible. There was a very specific reason why I knew I could not deal with it in that moment. And so we had to find that new ground once again, establishing that new company, that new merger, that partnership. How and why is this going to work? And how is it going to work for us? And it may not look like anything that has ever existed before, which is great.
Right.
Who doesn't want to be innovative? Who doesn't want to have that new amazing thing that is going to change other people and other people's lives in a positive way? For us, our marriage has been that. Our goal has been to not only change our lives in a positive way, but these 4 people that have been entrusted to us to be the people who are going to lead them up in the way they should go, train them up in the way they should go. They had to see us do it. And so our reality, our partnership, this business that we call our family, and not that we run our family as a business,
no.
But we have to think about it that way because we take very strongly our positions of leadership in this household.
Right.
And in that, we also know that we're building new leaders. Our
Right.
goal is that these kids, and we're going to talk about this probably next week, that these kids will become leaders in their own right, but they have to get that empowerment from leadership.
Right. They have to see leadership in their own home so they can know how to be leaders. So we
Right.
have to lead in a certain way.
Right. And it starts with us.
Right.
There's certain things that they aren't privy to because they aren't CEOs. They're not in the C-suite of this household. We are C-suite. We are upper level management. We got what you need, but we got to get our stuff straight in our boardroom, our bedroom, in order to do that thing right. So, is there anything you want to say about reality, when hope meets reality, before we sign off?
Just, those of you who are out there that's thinking about marriage, or those of you who are in your first year of marriage, it's a struggle, but if you're willing to make changes,
and
don't change.
Not going into a marriage thinking that you're gonna change somebody.
Right.
They are who they are.
Yeah.
Hold on, we about to collect a 4-year-old. Come here, Ryan.
Yeah.
But go ahead and finish your thought.
But there's this.
Come here, baby.
A reality of things, and this is one of the realities coming in the room. We got a 4-year-old, and she wants to see mom and daddy.
Right.
And so this is what part of
this is reality.
A marriage and parenting is. So, anything you need to say?
No, that's about it. But understand that when hope meets reality, life is real, and you have to deal with those things in order for your leadership to really thrive, and for your business, your company, your entity to survive. But if you can get it right, if you can fight through it, if you can withstand the difficulties, then it'll be worth it.
Right.
It'll be worth it. And leadership does not end there. It just becomes the new real thing that you are leading. It is not what you hoped it would be, because it's not going to always be what it really is. It may be some of it, but that won't be all of it. But once you know what your reality is and you really deal with it and you show up in that space,
right?
Woo! The things that you can make happen. That you can make happen. But we will see you next week. Thank you all so much for joining us here for week 7 of Leadership Live with Dr. Renita and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, baby.
For being here with me again this week. And we'll be back next week. I hope I'll
be here for the next 40 years.
I'm just talking about next week.
Oh, okay.
We'll be back next week with another episode of Leadership Live. And as always, always keep your leadership all the way live. Love you. See you next week. You want to say bye? She does.